Nikon D3500 review. The Nikon D3500 is one of our favorite DSLRs for photography students or for anyone who is looking for a low-cost way into serious image taking. It was launched way back in 2018, and even back then it wasn't much of an update on the D3400 that went before it. However, beginner cameras don't have to be cutting edge. They have to be straightforward, affordable, and just plain good. And that's what the D3500 delivers. It's basic in many respects, but the 24MP sensor at its heart is very good. And the little Nikon can call on a huge range of Nikon DSLR lenses. Old or not, the D3500 is one of those cameras that looks just as good now as when it was launched. The Nikon D3500 was launched at the end of 2018 as a modest update to the evergreen Nikon D3400. A starter DSLR we've been championing for years. It's a basic-looking camera with a fixed rear screen and no 4K video. But it is all the manual controls that photography newbies will need, and its image quality is really very good. All this guarantees the D3500 a place in our list of the best cameras for beginners and best student cameras. The D3500 isn't just Nikon's cheapest and simplest DSLR, it's also its lightest. Weighing just 415, body only, and that's with the battery and a memory card. It will usually come with a lightweight 1855 AF kit lens which has a retracting mechanism to make it more portable when it's not switched on. It's not quite as small as a mirrorless camera, but the battery life alone makes a good case for the classic DSLR design, and the D3500 but is light, fast enough, and cheap enough to make a great travel camera. This camera is designed specifically for beginners with simplified controls and a built-in guide mode to help new users learn the basics. But it's also compatible with a wide range of f-mount Nikon lenses from Nikon and third-party makers, and has a good enough specification to please enthusiasts as well as beginners. So is this one of the best cheap cameras you can get? You bet! Inside, a D3500 has a 24.2 megapixel APS-C DX sensor. It might be a beginner-level camera, but that's as high as most APS-C cameras go, even today. It also has an unusually good 5f continuous shooting speed, where most rivals in this price bracket can only manage 3fs. Mirrorless cameras can generally shoot a little faster, but cost a little more too. Nikon is not using body stabilization in its DSLR cameras, but many Nikon lenses, including the AF-P1850 5M lens bundled with this camera, come with Nikon's VR system. There are cheaper kits on sale with a non-VR lens, but we think it's worth paying the extra. You don't get 4K video capability with this camera, but it can shoot full HD 1920 x 1080 video at up to 60 or 50fs. You don't get Wi-Fi either, but built-in Bluetooth does let you transfer images to your smart device, and in this latest model, fire the shutter remotely using your smartphone. To be honest, you're unlikely to use this camera for video. Its live view autofocus is a little too slow, and the fixed rear screen is a drawback in itself. Nikon says it's upgraded its sensor and speed image processing system over the previous D3400 to give improved speed, detail, and colors. It's also upgraded the battery life, quoting a pretty amazing 1,550 shots on a single charge. That's 4 or 5 times more shots than you'd expect to get from a mirrorless camera. This is a key point if you're out all day shooting. The average mirrorless camera could pack up by lunchtime unless you have spare batteries or a power bank. But the D3500 could keep going into the evening. The D3500 does shoot RAW files, as you'd expect, but these are 12-bit only, rather than the 14-bit RAW files captured by models further up the Nikon range. Will you notice the difference? Probably not, as even a 12-bit RAW gives a much wider tone and color range than regular JPEGs. And for the users this camera is aimed at, the differences are likely to be academic,